Also, I want to say, since the recording is on, that is, this week we're going to have a lab on Thursday, which is next time. It will be the last lab. So starting next week, there will be no lab. We will have our classes. You know, what is left is these two sections of chapter 20 and another chapter. So we're talking about 5 lectures, including today's lecture. So we should be done by Sunday the 15th, most likely. So after that, the classes will be, you know, review classes, and will be online. Even any class that is we are offering in Ramadan also will be online. We will be sending an email in that effect. If you have classes around the iftar time, which is 6 or something, your instructor will inform you that when they're going to change it. I'm not sure. Do we have classes at 6 or 5? I think the repeat courses only. So whoever have a class at 5 or 6 p.m., their instructor will let them know. Anyways, we're talking about 1 week of Ramadan classes. It's no big deal. So that is what is new. And I think you guys looked at the schedule that our chemistry exam will be on May 1st, which is going to be Saturday. And it will be during the daytime, that is from 1 to 3, because there are 2 intervals. You have to pay attention to this. That there are some exams from 9 to 12 p.m. and there's some exams from 1 to 3. All right. Anyway, I hope that nobody will miss their final exams due to this changes in the schedule and stuff like that. Type oxidation number. There's something that we talked about last time, and that is when we define oxidation and reduction. Last time we said, if you remember that table where we have all the definitions, the last one in the bottom was with red. And in that I said that this will be discussed next time, which is oxidation number increase is an oxidation and oxidation number decrease is a reduction. That is the conclusion. So we have to look for the rules that can be used in order to determine that. So first, we will learn how to determine the oxidation number of different atoms in different compounds. And then after that, we'll use that to decide which one is being oxidized, which one is being reduced, based on the increase or decrease in the oxidation number. And again, increase in the oxidation number is oxidation, decrease in the oxidation number is reduction. Having that in mind, this is about the sparkler. You know, it's asking you why it is bright color, because it's an oxidation. Let's move on. What is an oxidation number? What is the definition? Is it the same as the charge that we keep saying about? No. Sometimes it is, sometimes it is not. So oxidation number is a positive or negative number. Could be positive, could be negative, or it could be 0 in some cases. And that is assigned to an atom to indicate the degree of oxidation or the degree of reduction. What does that mean? As a general rule, if you have a bonded atom, so we're talking about atoms that are part of a molecule or a compound, then a bonded atom oxidation number is the charge that would have if the electrons of the bond are to be assigned to the one which is more electronegative. It's a very complicated definition though, but it is very simple. If you have H2O as usual, what it says here that the oxidation number of oxygen, for example, is as the charge if these 2 electrons not only pulled but completely moved. So if the electron is moved back, so this is going to have -1 and -1 from here, that's a -2. That's what the rule is. But anyways, I don't want you to focus too much on this general rule, because we're going to have 6 different rules that will cover that. So you don't have to worry much about this. One other general thing is that whenever we have binary ionic compound, شو يعني binary ionic compound? Ionic compound that is made from 2 ions, cation and anion, NaCl, KCl, إلى آخره. Always we have the charge is exactly the same as the oxidation number. يعني if you consider sodium chloride, احنا بنعرف ان الصوديوم chloride, the sodium has a +1 charge and the Cl has a -1 charge. صح? The oxidation number is the same. Sodium has an oxidation number of +1 and Cl have an oxidation number of -1 too.
So that is what it says here. The only difference is that that of chlorine is -1, and when we assign the oxidation number, sometimes we use instead of -1, we say 1-. So the sign is put before the oxidation number whenever we talk about the oxidation number. So we say -1, but whenever it's a charge, we say 1+ or 2+, something like that. Okay, but anyways, don't worry much about this again. As long as you assign it, whether you put the sign before and after, doesn't matter, for me at least. Okay, so the other thing is that something like oxygen, it is always -2, and hydrogen is a +1 in the case of the water molecule that we talked about. Let's move to the rules after doing this one. So oxygen is -2 and hydrogen is +1. Here's the general rules, which I already marked for you as with the red. The one with the red is the most important part of the rule. If you look at the one page like this, you're going to say, wow, that's a lot of rules. How are we going to memorize this? How are we going to learn this? But if you look only at the red one and you try to understand the rule, then you're going to find it very easy. The first rule says that the oxidation number of monoatomic ion, and whenever we have an atom that is ionic, whether it's plus or minus, the charge is exactly the same as the oxidation number. And we already said that about sodium and potassium and chlorine and so on. Okay, so when we have a monoatomic ion, and an ion that consists of one atom, the oxidation number is the same as the charge that is there. Number two, hydrogen is always +1, but there are some exceptions. Whenever it is combined to group 1A, then it will become hydride, and that will make it -1, and that is very, very exceptional cases. So whenever you see H in any compound, most likely 99.9% will be +1. Rule number 3 about oxygen, that oxygen is always -2, except in the hydrogen peroxide, it's a -1. But in general, whenever you see oxygen, why these rules are important? Because you're going to find a compound like this one, for example, sodium sulfate. I know for oxygen and I know for sodium based on this rule, then what is left is sulfur. That will make it easy. But imagine that I don't know the rule about oxygen, then how would I find out? So that's why it is important in rule number, these numbers over here. So hydrogen +1, oxygen is -2. Number 4, how can we get this out? I don't know. Number 4, it says that uncombined elements, يعني اللي مش متفاعلين مع حدا, element قاعد لحاله, زي بغض النظر حتى لو كان binary atom or dimolecular, like O2, Cl2, N2, any element that is not interacting or bonded into other atoms, we give it an oxidation number of 0. And that will make our lives easy. All elements, they are assigned an oxidation number of 0. Like, we will give you an example. Like on 0, as you can see, oxygen, for example, when we have N2, if you have potassium, if you have sodium, if you have silver precipitate, when oxygen O2, yes, it is 0. ما فيش oxygen لحاله as O. ما في compound like this. But whenever it is diatomic molecule like O2, that is a 0. Cl2 is a 0. N2 is a 0. H2. كل هذول diatomic molecules, they are all assigned a 0. Well, other element, copper, iron, silver, whatever, chromium, if it is an element. But if it is in a compound, then that's a different story. Okay, so as it says here, the uncombined element is 0. Right, rule number 5 and 6 are very, very important. Why? Because it says, for number 5, it says for neutral compounds. ايش يعني neutral compound؟ say H2O مثلا، هذا neutral compound ما عليهوش charge اصلا. ما عليهوش total charge. The sum of the oxidation numbers of the atoms is equal to 0. And that is مثلا الاكسجين is -2, agreed, right? So -2 والهيدروجين is +1. ما هو في ثنتين هيدروجين, the sum of these is 0, صح؟ So for neutral atom it is 0. خلينا ناخذ هذا الكومباوند اللي هو صوديوم. اكتبه كم مره عشان القلم مش محترم اليوم. N2SO4. What is the oxidation number of sulfur? كيف بدي اعرف الاكسيديشن number of sulfur? I'm going to use this rule, and I'm going to use the rule that says that oxygen is always -2. I'm going to use the rule that number 1, which is for monoatomic ion it is +1. So sodium is +1, oxygen is -2. Oxygen, I have 4 atoms of that, so that is a -8. المجموع تبع الاكسيديشن نمبر. مش احنا قلنا انه when we have a neutral compound the sum, so I have to add the oxidation numbers. So for oxygen it is -8 total oxidation number, وfor sodium it is +2. ليش؟ لانه عندنا ثنتين. طيب +2 و-8 شو المجموع؟ -6. طيب اذا كان كل الكومباوند has to be 0, then sulfur has to be كمان +6 عشان يصيروا 2 بلس من الصوديوم و6 بلس من السلفر و-8 من الاكسجين. اجمعيهم كلهم مع بعض بيطلعوا 0. That's what we're saying. Okay, so the sum, whenever we have a neutral compound, the sum of the oxidation numbers is equal to 0. The sum is equal to 0. طيب, the last one is similar to the to number 5, but it is talking about ايش اسمه البولياتوميك ايونز. لما يكون عندنا بولياتوميك ايونز، شو يعني بولياتوميك؟ يعني ions that has more than one atom. زي ايش؟ زي NO3 minus, nitrate, sulfate, SO4 -2, carbonate, CO3 -2, ammonium, NH4 plus. مظبوط؟ It says that the sum of the oxidation numbers is not equal to 0 but equal to the charge. يعني الكربونات اللي هو CO3 -2, the sum of the oxidation number of oxygen and carbon equal to -2. هذا معناته. صح؟ إذا الrules أصبحوا very simple. هذول last 2 rules are very important. Every time we have a compound and we want to determine the oxidation numbers, we have to see if it has a charge ولا لا. إذا كان neutral معناها the sum of the oxidation number should be equal to 0. If it has a charge, then the sum of the oxidation number is equal to the charge. We will give examples بس اصبر شوي، أنا بس بحفظك في الrules. إذا هذول 2 rules are important، بس الأهم منهم معظم الكومباوند they contain oxygen and hydrogen. فالاكسجين is always -2 والهيدروجين +1. هذا بريحنا كثير. وشو كمان؟ انه المونواتوميك ايونز دائما بتكون نفس الشارج. يعني الCl is -1 اذا كانت مونواتوميك، بس بشرط ما يكون Cl2. If it is Cl2 or N2 or H2 or Br2 or O2 or whatever, those are zeros. In addition to the elements، لما يكون element لحاله بيكون زيرو. طيب اصبحوا الرولز كلهم واحد. انا بشايف خلينا نشوف الكلام في الاكزامبلز هذول. right؟ نشتغل مع بعض ونشوف كل واحد فيهم لحاله. starting with هذا اول سؤال يا فاطمه. is it neutral ولا عليه charge؟ ها؟ neutral. معناها the sum، rule number 5، the sum of the oxidation numbers تبعت الاكسجين والسلفر لازم تكون 0. طيب الاكسجين قديش؟ as usual -2. وكم اتم في عندنا؟ 2. معناها المجموع تبع الاكسجين is -4. طب عشان الكل يصير 0 قديش السلفر لازم يكون؟ 4 plus. اذا السلفر is 4 plus والاكسجين is -2. هيك بنحط فوق هذول. اوكي؟ طيب كل فاهم هذا السلفر السلفر اوكسايد؟ اللي مش فاهم يقول، لانه بعد شوي راح نصير نعتمد على هذا الموضوع في تحديد الاوكسيدايز والريديوس والى اخره. طيب نمبر بي هذا اللي هو CO3 minus 2. إذا this is a polyatomic ion. معناه أن نطبق rule number 6 which says that the sum of the oxidation number is equal to the charge, so equal to -2. لازم المجموع يصير -2. طيب oxygen is -2 صح؟ times 3 that is -6. شو الرقم اللي لازم أعطيه للكربون عشان يصير المجموع +4. So +4 -6 is equal to -2, and that is equal to the charge on the polyatomic ion. Okay, very good. طيب نيجي للصوديوم سلفيت. هذا we just did it, right? Which is sodium is +1, oxygen is -2, -2 times 4 that is -8, with sodium times 2 that is +2. Then the sulfur has to be +6 in order for this compound to become neutral. The sum of the oxidation number is equal to 0. Why it's equal to 0 يا فاطمة? Because it is a neutral compound. طيب اللي بعده هذا في عندك حالتين أو طريقتين. إذا كان the question is asking about every single atom, then you have to do every single atom. بس إذا كان interested في السلفر لحاله ساعتها I will deal with the ammonium as a كأنه one atom. يعني الأمونيوم معروف NH4+, صح؟ ما دام في عندنا ثنتين منه معناها in order for this to be zero السلفر قديش لازم يكون؟ -2 صح؟ بس إذا هو بده يسألني عن every single thing عادي ماشي. نيجي نقول NH4+ صح؟ هو هيك الأمونيوم. طيب الأمونيوم is NH4+, الهيدروجين is +1 times 4 that is +4. عشان يصير التوتال equal to +1 قديش النيتروجين لازم يكون؟ ها؟ -3. So nitrogen is -3, hydrogen is +1, والsulfur is -2. خلص. Okay, that's the way we determine the oxidation numbers in هذا السؤال الأول اللي هو تبع السلفيت سلفر اوكسايد دايوكسايد، وهذا وبعدين مع ماشي نشيلها ونخلص. Okay, this is for the carbonate, and that is for the sulfur is +6. هاي الأمونيوم. أول شيء بنعمل أمونيوم لحاله، فالنيتروجين has to be -3 in order to become plus. بعدين we make it as 2. Then in that case we have the sulfur as -2. Okay, واضح؟ إذن you have to make sure before you come to any exam that you can do, you're able to determine the oxidation number of every element in any compound. Why? Because those compounds will be involved in chemical reactions. When they involved in chemical reactions, they will be أي reaction we're talking about oxidation reduction reactions, where some element they change their oxidation number. ولا بعدين كيف تكون reaction? If there is no change, there is no reaction. طيب صار reaction, then I need to know which one its oxidation number has increased. إذا increased معناها this is the one which is oxidized. If it is decreased, that's the one which is reduced. If I can determine which one is oxidized, which one is reduced, then I definitely can be able to determine which one is reducing agent and which one is oxidizing agent. Okay? طيب خلينا نشوف السؤال هذا. The bottom line is, what is the oxidation number of chromium in each compound? إما في البوتاسيوم دايكروميت اللي هو الفوق K2Cr2O7. فاطمة تسوي هذا؟ تقولي لنا قديش الكروميوم and how you reach that. Start with the things. ها؟ أي واحد فيكم لازم +1 البوتاسيوم +1 وفي عندنا ثنتين منه معناها +2. والاكسجين how many we have 7. -2 معناها بكون توتال قديش -14. طيب -14 و +2 وضع لنا -12. اذا الCr2 لازم يكون عندهم negative charge or negative oxidation number, I'm sorry, of -12 positive 12. منهم ثنتين معنى كل واحد فيهم is +6. That's the way we determine the chromium in this potassium dichromate. هلا هربت من الأول يا فاطمة. Let's do the second one. أصعب. اللي هو CrKSO4 twice اللي هو اسمه chromium 3. Well, it's telling you that it's a chromium 3. تتذكروا هذا لما قلنا whenever we have something that you know the oxidation number has to be determined, it says chromium 3 potassium sulfate. فهو معطيك الجواب اصلا. It's a chromium 3 plus. بس عشان نتاكد انه what we said is right, we need to do it separately. طبعا هذا الwater of hydration بسموه is not always involved in that. ما له علاقه لا بالتشارج ولا شيء. It's a water molecules attached to the compound. فكانه مش موجود. طيب نيجي البوتاسيوم is +1 معروف. السلفيت اللي هو SO4 -2. فماينس 2 times 2 that is -4. إذا أصبح عندنا +1 -4 is equal to 0. معناها الكروميوم قديش بده يكون عشان الجواب يطلع 0؟ It has to be +3. +3 +1 -4 equal to 0. فإذا this is a chromium 3. بعدين أنا قلت لك إن الجواب already موجود في الاسم. All right? So this is a chromium 6 and that is chromium 3. وهذول ال two oxidation states that are known for chromium. طيب moving on. هاي الجواب عندكم. الآن we're going to see the application, which is how to use the increase in the oxidation number to find which one is oxidized and how to use the decrease in the oxidation number to see which one is reduced. This is a very nice experiment here. Look at this beaker here, the first one on the left, your left. Okay, we have a solution of silver nitrate. شو silver nitrate؟ يعني AgNO3. والواير of copper. هذا الواير شايفين محلاه ولونه كبري وكل شيء تمام كبري. اوكي طيب بعد ما تركناه for a while صار هذا اللي انتم شايفينه. في عندنا white precipitate, white silvery precipitate on the wire, which is the silver, and the solution become blue, which means that copper has gone into solution. من الكبر metal into copper ion. معناها اللي صار انه السيلفر was Ag plus وصار Ag0. ليش؟ لانه element. صح؟ اذا الاوكسيديشن number of silver has decreased ولا increased؟ Decreased from +1 to 0. معناها silver has been reduced. والكبر كان 0 لانه كان اصلا 0 وبعدين صار 2 plus. So that's an increase, that is an oxidation. يعني this is the equation. That's exactly the chemical equation that we are using. And we did this last time, by the way. بس بدون ما نستخدم oxidation numbers. What we did is based on the charges. بس الحين we can use the oxidation number. +1, +5, -2. That is simple to determine. طيب بنركز على الأشياء اللي صار فيها تغيير. Look at the nitrogen. قبل وبعد it is +5 فما لناش فيه. Oxygen -2 -2 ما تغير فيه شيء. Which one has been changed? The copper and the silver. The silver was +1 became 0. والcopper was 0 become +2. فواحد فيهم decreased, the other one is increased. So we can decide at this point that silver has been reduced and copper has been oxidized. How did we know? From the oxidation number increase or decrease. Okay. Another example, which is dipping a nail which is made from iron in a copper solution. If you do that, this is the moment you dip it in. This is after a while. You will see that the color is becoming pale blue, which means that some of the copper has gone from solution. And also, if you look at the nail itself, في عليه precipitate, which is black, and that is due to the copper. So the copper has been gone from copper 2 plus into copper 0, and that is is a decrease or increase? That's a decrease. So that is a reduction. So we can say that copper has been reduced and iron has been oxidized. Okay. خلينا نشوف more examples. This is the conclusion. This is the rule that we're going to use. Okay, remember for non-numeric problems, we have a concept that we apply. So we solve and or we analyze and solve. When we analyze, we apply the rule. The rule that says that an increase in the oxidation number is oxidation and a decrease in the oxidation number is reduction. صح؟ طيب. If that is the case, صار يمشي بالعكس هذا. Other sparkle again, why it is bright? Because it is oxidation. ما علينا. هذا عندنا two reactions. The question says use the change in oxidation number to determine what? To identify the atoms that is being oxidized, the atoms that is being reduced, and which one is reducing agent and which one is oxidizing agent. The second part هذا is easy. ليش؟ لأنه the one that is oxidized is an reducing agent. The one that is reduced is an oxidizing agent. مظبوط؟ فin that case أهم شيء إنك تعرف which one is oxidized, which one is reduced. How are we going to do that? We have to determine all the oxidation numbers لكل الatoms الموجودين. Then after that we look at the one that has undergone a change. اللي ما صار لهاش change ما لي فيها. صح؟ طيب. Let's start with the Cl2 يا فاطم. شو أحط هون الاكسيديشن؟ 0 H plus 1. ليش plus 2؟ منين اجت plus 2؟ لا 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 هذا مولز يا ما تخربط الكوفيشنتس السبسكريبت. هذا موضوع تعديناه زمان. في فرق بين الكوفيشنتس which is indicating the number of moles and the subscript which is indicating how many atoms are combined with the compound. هذا H1 واحدة بس. will BR in this case accordingly will become -1. will H plus هنا will Cl will BR2 0. طيب طلع على الCl كان 0 وصار -1. شو هذا؟ decrease. Then chlorine has been reduced and it is an oxidizing agent. What about the Br? It was -1 became 0. That is an increase. So hydrogen bromide has been oxidized into Br2. Okay. عادي يكون ايش؟ It has to be. المرة اللي فاتت قلنا انه reduction and oxidation they happen simultaneously. No oxidation without reduction. صح؟ the amount of increase as a matter of fact تذكرتيني في اللي جاي we will use that to balance the chemical equation. بس بدناش نستعجل عليك الحين. We have to use the increase and the decrease has to be similar. لازم يكونوا متساويين. ليش؟ لأنه هذا الانكريز والديكريز due to electrons. طب واحد خسر 2 electrons وين بيروح electrons? Has to be gained by somebody else. So if we keep the number of electron gain is equal to the electron loss, we can balance the chemical equation. بس هذا لسه coming. ما لا تستعجل عليه. خلينا الحين بس to decide which one is oxidized, which one is reduced. ما دامك سألتي, let's do the second one. What about carbon here? ليش طيب؟ What is rule number 4? It says uncombined elements, they have assigned a 0. ال O2 هذول O2 Cl2 F2 Br2 إلى آخره كلهم 0. والكربون وبوتاسيوم وصوديوم وسيلفر وكبر لما يكون مش مرتبط مع حدا it is 0. But this is 0 not شو اسمه. طيب وهاي رجعنا ما قاعد بقول F2 O2 وتقول negative 2. It is an element. It is not a compound. هذا نرجع نعيد كمان مرة. الاليمنت شو تعريف الاليمنت؟ هو لما يكون في اتوم لحاله قاعد هيك سيلفر بلس سيلفر 0 كوبر 0 ايرون كروميوم بدك اياه. Also whenever it is a diatomic compound or molecules they H2 O2 N2 F2 Br2 Cl2 I2 كلهم هذول elements uncombined elements. بعدين هنا combined with who? combined مع حاله. So that's why it is 0. So the 0 and 0. طيب هون بتيجي الشطارة. minus 2 الاكسجين. minus 2 times 2 is minus negative 4. عشان كله يكون 0 الكربون has to be plus 4. طيب اذا we have 0 to plus 4, that's an increase. مظبوط؟ that is an oxidation. والاكسجين was 0 and became minus 2, that is a reduction. في كمان شغله ثانيه انتم ناسينها. whenever you have oxygen it has to be reduced. الاكسجين cannot be oxidized. لازم يصير reduction always لانه هو oxidizing the others. مظبوط؟ فالكربون has been oxidized and oxygen has been reduced. واللي oxidized هو reducing agent الى اخره. Okay? That's the rules. This is what they did, what we did exactly. وبناء على ذلك the elements chlorine is reduced. ليش هو reduced? Because we went from 0 to minus 1. Why the bromine has oxidized? Because we were minus 1 and became 0. واضح؟ طيب oxidizing agent reducing agent هذا موضوع سهل. 0 and 0 plus 4 and minus 2. Carbon has been oxidized, oxygen has been reduced. Carbon is reducing agent and oxygen is a oxidizing agent. وخلصنا من هذا الإكزام. Here's another one. شوف هذا محلاه. شوف كم element موجود فيه. We need to determine all of them. اللي ما فيش فيه تغيير ماله وماله. احنا بنطلع على اللي فيه تغيير فقط. Okay, starting with the zinc. ليش نعطيه؟ 0. طيب يجي للمنغنيز اوكسايد. minus 2 times 2 minus 4. ها؟ نيجاتيف 2. طيب ماشي. عيد كمان مرة. اوكي. نيجاتيف 4. اوكي. فيري جود. انا هذا بقوله برضه. هيك في الاول ما كنتش تقول هيك بس يلا. بلس 4 اذا المنغنيز وهذا ماينس 2. طيب نيجي للامونيوم كلورايد. الامونيوم احنا عملناه قبل هيك. نعرف انه النيتروجين is minus 3 والهيدروجين plus 4 والكلورين is minus 1. اوكي؟ طيب خلينا ننتقل على الجهه الثانيه. زنك كلورايد بطل زي هنا زنك 0. صار الكلورايد is always minus 2. هنا Cl2 كل واحد لحاله مش Cl2 as an element, it's combined. فthis is minus 1. minus 1 في 2 ب minus 2 اذا الزنك is plus 2. صح؟ طيب manganese 2 oxide. Oxygen is minus 2 times 3 that is minus 6. معناها في عندنا 2 atoms each one of us is going to be plus 3. صح؟ plus 3 times 2 plus 6. و 3 minus 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. minus 6 و plus 6 is 0. صح؟ Okay, so that is plus 3. الأمونيا نفس الشيء minus 3 و plus 1 و plus 1 و minus 2. طلع الأكسجين كله minus 2 ما لناش دخل فيه. هيدروجين is the same thing. Ammonia I mean, I'm sorry, nitrogen is the same thing. The only one which is changed is zinc. كان 0 أصبح plus 2. That is an increase. So zinc has been oxidized and it is a reducing agent. طيب مين المقابل اللي صار له العكس؟ هو المنغنيز. It was plus 4 وأصبح إيش؟ أصبح plus 3. So it was decreased from 4 to 3. That's a decrease and that is reduction. Okay, so reduction and oxidizing agent. عشان تشوفوا بشكل واضح هذا هو. مش عارف كيف دقيم هاي كل مرة. Alright, هاي الأوكسيديشن نمبرز اللي احنا عملناهم كلهم. Okay, zinc was 0 وأصبح plus 2. والمنغنيز was plus 4 وصار plus 3. فإذا الزنك has been oxidized والمنغنيز has been reduced. Nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen and chlorine ما صار عليهم So zinc has been oxidized because its oxidation number has gone from 0 to 2, and manganese is reduced because it was done from +2. That's reducing. Right. Use the change in oxidation number to identify which atom is oxidized and which one is reduced. Let's do this. HNO3. Hydrogen is +1. Well, oxygen is -2. And nitrogen in this case بتكون ايش؟ +5. Very good. طيب تذكر انه هو +5. نيجي للبعد. Hydrogen is +1. معناها sulfur in this case is -2. Move to the product. NO, N oxide, nitrogen oxide, -1, -2, +2. صح؟ طيب نرجع للنيتروجين. قديش قلت عنه بالاول كان؟ وهو اللي صار +2. Is this a decrease? So that is a reduction. إذا النيتروجين has been reduced. طيب نكمل. الووتر مالناش فيه لأنه معروف +1 وهذا. السلفر هناك is okay, so that is because it's an increase from -2 to 0. That's an increase. And that's why it is being oxidized. So here we go. +5 to +2, -2 to 0. That's why sulfur is oxidized and nitrogen is being reduced. صح? One more example. ما ضلش. Okay. So now we know how. طبعا انتم عارفين في شغله مهمه. Everything basic like this, when we learn it, now it is a challenge, but later on it has to be by default. أنا قلت لكم إنه next time we will be using the oxidation number to balance chemical equation. معناها موضوع تحديد الoxidation number becomes by default بدك تكون تعرف. Okay? فلذلك you have to master this. You have to know exactly how to determine the oxidation number of all atoms in all compounds. Following the rules. So the rules are very simple. أول rule بتقول إن monoatomic ions are the same as the charge. The second rule is talking about hydrogen, it is +1. Third rule is about oxygen is -2. Fourth rule is all elements are 0. Rule number 5, the sum of the neutral compounds is equal to 0. The oxidation numbers sum is equal to 0. The last one is about polyatomic ion. لما يكون عندك polyatomic ion like ammonium, nitrate, carbonate, sulfate, phosphate إلى آخره, the sum of the oxidation number is equal to the charge on the compound. As simple as that. Use these rules, you will be able to determine the oxidation number. So you need to practice this as many times as you can in order to reach a point where this becomes something that you do like you know your name. ليش؟ لأنه as I said كمان مرة, for the coming sections we will be using this for balancing chemical equation. How you would do that? إذا غلطت في oxidation number أكيد balancing is not going to work. وبالتالي كل تعبك بروح على الفاضي. إذن I need to master this. Okay? All right. Any questions? Any concerns? Anything? Next time I will see you will be on Sunday. ليش؟ لأنه Thursday في عندنا lab. كمان مرة. This is the last lab and we need to remind you. You need to attend the lab in Zoom. If you don't attend, you get a 0. If you attend, you need to submit the lab report before the midnight that day. I will put the assignment today for you. If you don't submit it and you attend the lab, you get 50% of the grade. Okay? The last time we're going to talk about this. خلصنا؟ وين راح الزوم هذا؟